Hello, team! So, since we didn't get to have a meeting yesterday and I didn't talk with everybody, I figured I'd just do a video update. Hopefully, this won't be too long, but there's information you need to know. So, I'm just going to give it to you quick, and you can always ask me questions if you have it. I want to start by saying, first off, if you have any questions about leadership changes between it going from Tony and Tony leaving and why that happened, or you want to ask me anything, don't hesitate. Please talk to either one of us. We are very open to that. Um, Two, I am incredibly excited about what the Lord is going to do this year through this team, and the fact that, not only the fact, the privilege I get to lead you guys. Um, it's going to be, as I've said to some of you, we're going to try and do some new things. We're going to try and institute some more structure and give more people the opportunity to use their strengths in a way that they can really feel like they get to be a part of the team in a way that they're contributing most out of who they are, which is a really exciting thing for me, and hopefully it'll be for you. So we'll start with kind of some of the shifts that are happening, and I'll start with probably, sorry, I will do this just from time, kind of like stop, think, stare off, just come for the journey with me. Um, so first off, we are no longer going to use the closet in the basement of the student center. Instead, we have been given a closet on the second floor of Bierman, which is completely our own. And it is a fairly big room, and it has a counter and cupboards, and we can run Coffee Monday out of it, and we're going to get Keurigs. I haven't done that yet, but that is going to happen. And so there's some big exciting things. We get to paint the room, all kinds of stuff. So we're gonna do that at our next meeting, which we'll get to later on. Uh, but even backing up, I want to just remind us as a team what our goals are. And so in the actual charter, which I've attached, so all of you can read it because I hadn't read it for a while, we have two goals. One, be a voice for the students, which I don't think we've necessarily done well in the recent past, and I hope that we can do that better. And so that's getting input on what events they want to have, getting input on remodeling things happening around campus, like what do they want to go in the student center, things like that. Second, we are to put on events, and that's what we do. But our events have not always in the recent past drawn people in. And we want to continue to try and foster community at a campus where that's become an increasingly difficult thing. Between the counseling program becoming K-crap and more separated, more people doing online, and just a disconnect in general with family and faculty and students. Things are in an interesting place, which means there's a lot of work to do, but there's a lot of opportunity. And there's a lot of exciting things that we can do as a team, and we get to do that together. And so, in talking to the faculty and people who have been on campus for a while, it's kind of the general feeling is that community is dying at Western. And what do you do if a human's dying? Well, you give them CPR. And I would propose that we do the exact same thing with campus. We give it CPR. Now, our CPR that we're talking about here is going to stand for three things: community fostering events, prayer, and relationships. So we want to have clear communication with our events that are individualized to all of the students who will be coming and are service oriented. We always want to come to anything we do as servants. Prayer then, second, we want to pray as a team and for the team, for the students, and for campus and our events as a whole. And finally, our relationships. Our relationships are huge, and it's something, at least last year while I was on the team, wasn't focused on. But first and foremost, I care about your walk with the Lord, and I care how that's going. And if it's not going well, I want us as a team, or me, or whoever it is, to be able to encourage you and move forward. So even if we accomplish nothing as a team, hear this right now, we could accomplish nothing. And if your walk with the Lord is going well, I would be happy. And I say that with confidence because if our walks with the Lord are going well, things will happen. And I have full faith that that is the way that things will go if we were walking with the Lord well. So that's why I put such a heavy emphasis on that. Two, I want us to be a team. I want us to actually hang out. I want us to know each other and really care for each other. And it's going to take some time. It's gonna take some shifts in the way we do things. But if we want to create community on campus, we need to be a model for that, and they need to see us being the community we want to see. And so our relationships are going to be really important. We want to develop our relationships with the faculty. In the recent years, that has become a little more strained, and I'm learning more and more that is unfortunately a bit of an issue. And so we want to really reach out and care for the faculty because they're, in a lot of ways, our biggest allies in reaching and serving the students. And then fourth, of course, this goes without saying, it's a part of our charter. We want to care for our students. We want to build our other students. We're students too. We want to be building relationships. We want to be knowing people. We want to be known as student ministry team so people know who to come to with their requests, problems, all these things. And so to accomplish our CPR, our community fostering events, our prayer, and our relationships, we needed to change things up a little bit. And this is something that even before Tony left, Andy, he and I had been talking about, and how can we institute these things in a way that actually makes sense and is helpful. And so the first thing is looking at the way that we meet. So we usually meet every other Monday from during the dinner time. The only problem with that, well, there's a few problems. That was a mosquito, so that's unfortunate. One, people would show up late, or they'd have to leave early, and that's class. Like, that's not your fault. It just needs to happen. And so it became more of this, here's some information, let's quick do a vote. Not even everyone was involved in the vote, and it just became problematic. And it doesn't help foster a team and do relationships. It doesn't help give us time to pray, and it doesn't give us time to actually create events that fit the campus well and what it needs. And so what I'm proposing is that we don't have a Monday meeting as a team anymore, but instead we shift that to another day, having only one a month. So each month we would meet once, and that would be for 2 hours. And I'll explain what that meeting would look like towards the end here. But essentially, with that then, we'd have the ability to eat dinner together. We'd have the ability to catch up. We'd do some spiritual development, like actually get in the Bible. We'd have time to pray and have time to talk about our events. This is something that I'm really passionate about, and it gives us just some real time to build that model of community. Because if we don't do it, it's not gonna happen, and so it's gonna take some work. And so that's gonna be one of the things that I'm gonna ask you to do in the email. Is just respond with what works in terms of times. And so. So meeting was the first thing that we wanted to change. The second thing, and this is kind of something that the Lord put on my heart, and we're going to try and move forward with, is responsibility has always been a tricky thing on the team. It comes in waves with busyness, as well as the fact that some people would just do more. And so we ran into the problem that last year, there were people on the team who were doing great and were doing so much, and then there were other people who didn't even come to events. And so, first off, we want to make it a priority that we're at all the events. That's just simple. It's just a simple thing with the event, with the team. But I understand if there are circumstances and things like that. We're not like be there or you're a terrible person. It's nothing like that. But I do want us to strive to be there and truly be behind our events. And two, I want to give everybody, that was the neighbor honking their car, I want to give everybody a position. So if you could open up the file that I sent you, or that's attached, not the charter, but the leadership structure. So what you'll see, if you don't have that open, I'll give you a second. Alright, so if you look at the bottom, the way I do org charts is a little different. Normally you would see the leader at the top, and then you'd see everyone under them, and things would just trickle down. I don't see leadership that way. I see leadership as a platform to serve and not to be served necessarily. And so you'll see the team leader, that's me, at the bottom. And my idea here is my role is more team care, caring for all of you, seeing how you're doing, seeing how your events are doing. How can I help you fulfill your role better, as well as role support and giving vision and direction. So think of it as a prism. You have white light, which is vision and direction coming from me, and then it hits you guys who are the prisms, and you guys make the color. You get to make things awesome. And I'm going to relocate quick because there are mosquitoes and they are biting me, and if you don't know, that's why I look like that's why I have sores all over, because mosquitoes are dumb. So, as we move forward in that chart, it made sense in accomplishing our goals to create 8 different positions, because that is how many people we have on the team. Oh, this is an ugly angle. You're just staring up at me. Excuse me. I'll try and fix that. So, if you look at this, first it's divided into 4 pods. And so these pods are internal communication, external communication, faculty relations, and spiritual development. And so these all kind of, in different ways, fulfill our charter and fulfill our CPR. And so I want to just take some time to give you a little vision for what each of these roles are, because ultimately, you guys each will fill one of them. Get rid of the hat, too. Oh, we'll put the hat back on. So, first, internal communication. We have the secretary, and we have the feedback/thank you person. I don't have a good name for all of these yet. If you do it, you get to think of it. So secretary is going to be in charge of writing down and doing meeting minutes for all of our meetings and sending those out. They'll be in charge of forms and getting communication stuff around. They'll also be in charge of doing like a survey to figure out what do students want, or who are the students. Maybe that's talking to administration. Maybe that's doing a survey that we send out to students. That's their baby. They get to figure it out. And then feedback and thank yous. And this is a throwback, or a shout out, or not a shout out, a reminder. Please fill out the feedback for the fall kickoff, because we're going to try and do that for every event now, because we always want to be improving and making our events better. And so that involves seeing how we could do better and knowing what went well. And we don't want to be afraid of feedback. We want that to be something that informs us and encourages us as we move forward. As well as we want to write thank yous. That's something that hasn't been done in the past. And we want that, there's a text, and we want that to be a reality, is that we're thanking the people who are helping us. So, internal communication, secretary, feedback, and thank you person. External communication, publication or publicity and video announcements. This one's an exciting one because there's a lot of really cool changes happening. First off, we're changing our logo, and we are updating all of our communication-y, so that's posters. We're using the TVs more on campus, and using different like headers for emails, and trying to actually look like a legitimate student organization rather than this odd stepchild that just sort of attaches to Western. Um, and so publicity, you'll work a lot with the communication director on campus. Her name is Kate. She's really great, really fun. Um, Video announcements is the other side of that coin. What we're going to do is each month we're going to have a minute and a half long video, which is basically this is what's happening at Western for the month of October. This event, this event. And we'll rotate through those videos, or who makes those videos, but one person will be in charge of making sure it gets made and it's uploaded and all these different things. So, external communication, publicity, video announcements. Third one, faculty relations. We want to build those relationships, like I said earlier. And so the first person is faculty care. Second person, faculty involvement. We want to know, and these two will work together probably more than the other pods will, even more tightly. And that's what they're called, by the way. Each of these 4 areas are pods. And so we want to know, these people want to know the faculty, their spouses, their kids' names, how's their life going, just checking in. We also want to know their talents so that we can involve them in our events in new ways, or think of new events to have them do. Like, for example, we had worship and Ron Mars led it. So we want to think of those ways. So that's faculty relations. And then last but not least, spiritual development. And so there's 2 areas, prayer, praise, and devotion, adoration. The prayer praise person is in charge of not only creating a prayer schedule for us, so what are we praying for? Did we pray for the students, for the events? What does that look like? They're also in charge of leading the prayer time at our monthly meeting. The devotion time, or the devotion adoration person, is in charge of thinking ways to insert the Bible and worship into our events and our meeting, our team meeting. So that, again, going back to worship at fall kickoff, but also having a time to get in the Word or checking out how people's lives are doing with the Lord or stuff like that during our team meeting. They wouldn't have to lead that time every time if they didn't want to. They always could. But they could also just say, they could ask me to do it, or they could ask whoever to do it. They're just in charge of making sure it happens. And so those are the different roles we want to fill. And so I want you to be thinking, which one of these fits my strengths? Where would I be comfortable? What could be fun but would be stretching for me? And email me back with a pod idea. So like I'll list them, but in the email, or they're numbered. Pod 1 is internal, pod 2 external, pod 3 faculty, pod 4 spiritual. So just give me an idea of what you're thinking. We will place everyone as soon as I get all of that information. So that's a lot of information, I know. I would have loved to give it to you in person, but it just hasn't happened, just because of meetings and things like that. So please call me if you have questions. A few more updates or reminders. Fill out the feedback form, please. Our next meeting may not happen until the end of the month. May not even happen until next month when we formalize when the meeting will be. So it's going to be an ongoing conversation. And then the last thing is we are hosting a faculty dinner on the 26th. It's not this fancy thing, like you don't have to worry about that. So the 26th is a Monday, 26th of September. So from 5:15 to 6, just go up to the 3rd floor conference room, and we're going to have food, and we're going to be there, and we just want to hang out with the faculty. We want them to meet us. We want to meet them. This is a way that we start building that relationship back up with them. And so they're really excited. They want to see us, and so we're going to be there. The info, again, is in the email. So, again, a lot of information. It's summarized in the email. But really, I just want you to know how excited I am for this semester and really this year, because I think God's going to do a lot of really cool things, because there's a lot of us who have so much potential. Just because I've seen it in the people who have been on the team, and I'm excited to see it in the people who haven't, who are new to the team because I'm sure it's there too. And so, yeah, I think that's everything. My goal was to be under 20 minutes, and I failed, but that's okay because this is important, and normally the meeting would be 45, so you're winning, maybe? All right, I will talk to you soon. Get a hold of me if you need anything, and respond to my email as soon as you can, because there'll be details in what you do. So, thanks. Bye, guys. And, well, mostly girls, actually.